Good evening and welcome to the Boys to Bus. It's the Tuesday ticket. It's gone 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, Phil. It's time to chat. It's time to chat Celtic.
Yes, a dignified Tuesday blather, mate, as always.
Aye. We kind of fucked up a little bit. Regan hopefully will join us. I was looking at my diary of the day and I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it home for 7 o'clock. So I put it in the chat saying, like, can we move it to 7:30? And by the time that we kind of all agreed, I was like, actually, it should be fine. Our client's coming in a bit earlier, so it should be fine. But then Regan had obviously made plans to in between then. So hopefully Regan can join us. But it's fine. Me and you, Phil, we can we've done this, but this isn't our first rodeo anymore. So
Exactly, mate. Ain't our first rodeo, man. Correct.
How you doing anyway, mate? You doing all right?
Aye, smashing, mate. All good.
You getting stressed yet? You getting twitch? You getting a bit
mate,
twitchy?
you know me, mate. I'm the calmest man on this whole channel, mate. I'm never stressed, man. I'm the level head around here. I'm the voice of reason, so I'm not worried, honestly. Genuinely not, man.
This window's surely testing your patience a little bit, though.
Surely at the moment. Still okay at the moment.
Nah, just chill, just easy going. I'm
Aye.
Phil McGinley, I'm chill all the time. Grow up, Phil. Grow up.
I know.
Nothing pleases me, Phil McGinley. Right, all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a share, flag the hair. Become a Boys Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. All our content is free. There's no added extra. This is your way of supporting the bus. You can become a Boys Bus member by clicking some button on YouTube, like San Fran, Celtic, do all this stuff that Boys likes to. 420 Silver, Gary Brown, McLaughlin B, Smell the Glove, Tattoo Face, 77, all legends. And there's a lot more of you, but we'd be here all night if I was just doing that. So, yeah, do that. What else? Hit that subscribe button, all that jazz. You'll see that when the bus is coming. And big shout out to our sponsors, piesports.com. Get on there for your tasty base treats at 12.5% off at the checkout with code BUS1888. Right. Now we've got that out of the way. Believe it or not, we've got quite a bit to talk about. Where to start? Well, let's start with the most talked about conversation going on right now, and that'll be Matt O'Reilly, Phil.
Oh, yes.
Matt O'Reilly came out in last night that Southampton midfielder Shea Charles is reportedly being considered as a make-weight in any deal that could take Matt O'Reilly to St Mary's. O'Reilly has been linked with numerous clubs, with Atalanta, Juventus and Atletico Madrid, but the Saints both have standalone bids rebuffed, and now there's talking about offering Southampton midfielder Shea Charles. Now, Southampton had been preparing a 20 million offer for O'Reilly, apparently, and a compromise could be reached in the shape of a cash plus player deal that would hinge on Charles being willing to head up north just a year after joining Russell Martin's side from Manchester City. Now, Phil, I remember when this deal broke, because we were talking about this. The Shea Charles deal broke last year. I think it was last year when Shea Charles and a other youth player from Man City, who both had never kicked the ball for Man City in the Premier League, signed for like stupid money for boys that had never played. And we were discussing like how this is the kind of market that we're trying to deal with now. Like that Southampton are spending fortunes on players that haven't even played for their former club. Yeah. And now this boy has become available to us, apparently. He's a central defensive midfield player, so it's not like a like-for-like swap. Apparently it's a loan deal with an option to buy. Usually I don't have an issue with a loan with an option to buy because the whole try before you buy scenario, Phil. But not when it's... I'm not wanting a boy on loan with maybe an option to buy when they're looking to take one of our players. That's no tickling my pickle, Phil.
No, it doesn't work for me, brother. As a great man once said, but that deal, I'm not keen on that at all. the makeup of that just reeks of first of all, obviously there's the City group link. A lot of people have already pointed out, as you say, with the Man City thing. Where did his name suddenly come from? How did his name end up on our radar? Probably in a City group database somewhere at Celtic Park, but it doesn't work out because he's, as you say, not a like for like. He's a defensive midfielder, so he comes up here. Let's say the deal happens, and that's what we do. We sell him for cash and take this boy on loan. So he's coming up here and he's not a guaranteed starter because who is our number 6 to say the defensive midfielder team? It's Callum McGregor, and he's a club captain. Callum McGregor's not getting dropped, so Shea Charles comes up to sit on the bench, and then at the end of the year, with an option to buy, if it doesn't work out and he's not very good, we decide not to take that option. He goes back down to Southampton, and what have we gained from it? Nothing. Oh, more money to stockpile, I guess, for those that run the club. They'll be delighted with that. But from a on the field point of view, no, that just does not work for me at all. And I'd like that. I mean, I've heard a few stories I've read that apparently it's a no-go. The boy himself isn't interested. I hope that's the case because, yeah, if he was a like for like, if it was somebody from Southampton's team that could just walk into our first team in a similar position to O'Reilly, yeah, but as this boy's a defensive mid, as we say, Callum McGregor's not getting dropped. So yeah, what's he coming up here to do? So yeah, you'd be sit on the bench for a year or just get a game here and there. That's not a very proactive move at all from the club. So really hoping that one just gets rebuffed. But the more worrying thing is it's another bid in for Matt O'Reilly, so it's gaining momentum. Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've conceded to the fact that he probably will move on, especially even the pre-season he's having, which we'll get on to soon enough. Excuse me. But yeah, it just reeks. Well, we're not really willing to pay what you're actually asking for. So here's just a little. You can have a shot at this. You can have a wee shot at my old toy that I didn't really like. For your shiny new toy, we want that nice new toy. You can get this shiny wee toy that I might want back. I don't know. You might want to keep it. It just doesn't sound that appealing. And then Stephen Ray's coming here. I didn't know if this was true or not. I'll take you word for it, Stephen. Man City have the first refusal to buy a buyback option. So, I mean, the whole City is that like a case? Man City Pepsi and I said we've got an option to buy this boy back, but we're not quite ready to take him yet. Do you want that? You should try and get him on loan for a season and then sort it out. Figure something out for there. It just seems nothing about the deal is appealing for me.
Well, David, see when you look into his stats as well, apparently he had 33 appearances last season for Southampton, which is quite a decent wedge of appearances. No goals, no assists, none at all, not a single stat contributing to any goals. Now, I know he's a defensive midfielder, so obviously an argument could be made that he's sitting deep all the time. He's not really expected to score loads of goals and be heavily involved, but a defensive midfielder pops up at least 1 or 2 assists, surely during a season, you would think. 33 games, the law of averages suggests he's got to have contributed something there, but again, I'll probably base more on his defensive stats, which I haven't seen. People are just coming out with the GA, I think they call it, goal assists, all that stuff. But either way, say you're bringing in a guy who doesn't play the exact same position as Matt O'Reilly on loan, and if it doesn't work out and we decide, this boy's not up to much in a year's time, we send him back, and then all we've got is money in the bank, less money than we were expecting for Matt O'Reilly, and we haven't got a player out of it. But I say the board will still be loving that one. They'll be absolutely delighted regardless.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, McGregor's not getting dropped. Awata doesn't seem to. There's no links for Awata to leave, and I think Rodgers seems to quite like having him around. To shore things up. And even Kwon hasn't even moved on yet, which I'm not suggesting Brendan's seeing him as a first team player next season, but he's been getting game time in the pre-season as well, and there's no links to that, like he's going back to St Mirren or anyone else at that. So there's a lot of players in that position already. It doesn't solve anything bringing him in either. In this whole you could push McGregor up for the forward, but like Stephen said, totally. Just doesn't do it for me. I think it's a non-starter anyway, and I see a lot of people championing it online, the usual suspects, like just he's a wonderful player and he's blah 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 blah. In reality, they never watched him last year. They hadn't heard him until yesterday. It's a load of nonsense. We move on. Anyway, Right. Let's talk about another guy that just seems to won't stop being in the papers and on the podcast, and that would be, of course, Mr. Adam Idah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of stories I've got about Adam Idah. The first one is a little bit shite, but I will read it anyway. It might be a load of nonsense. However, it's just the show with all the news and the gossip and hearsay. Some of it's maybe is true, some of it's maybe it's not true. So, Italian duo joined the race for quality transfer target Brendan Rodgers loves, and that's of course talking about Adam Idah. Fiorentina and Hellas Verona are ready to rival Celtic for Norwich striker Adam Idah in this summer transfer window. Team Talk can exclusively reveal. I mean, I don't know how much credibility Team Talk have, but who knows? Verona have held a long-term interest in Idah and made an offer to sign him during the January transfer window prior to his move to Celtic. Fiorentina and Verona are both keen to add to their attacking options this summer, and Team Talk understand that Idah figures highly on both clubs' wanted list.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I didn't know that Fiorentina were interested in Adam Idah in the January transfer window. Verona were. They'd apparently put an offer in. Can't say I knew anything about that. I mean, Fiorentina is an appealing place to go and play your football, Phil. I think if you're Adam Idah, if Norwich are willing to let you go, I think still obviously would favour coming to this boyhood club in Glasgow Celtic. So I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. What I'm worried about is Fiorentina or Verona will offer what Norwich want from him, and that's where I'm more concerned about, because apparently, so I've heard, the goalposts keep changing on what Norwich are wanting from Celtic to sign Adam Idah, even in the figure of 10 million, apparently. I'm not so sure how true that is, but let's say it is. I don't see Celtic paying the 10 million. However, I could see a Verona or Fiorentina happily parting with 10 million to sign the player that they're after. And that's where my nerves kick in. It's John McGinn all over again. We are going to potentially lose out on our number one striker target because we're not willing to pay what their club think is worth. However, we expect clubs to pay out the nose for our players. So,
yeah, there's about to, if this goes down, if Fiorentina or Hellas Verona swoop in and get him, then it's going to be a massive black eye. Another one for the Celtic board, essentially, if they're able to just get in, get it done, bish bash bosh, and it's job's a good one. It could show them up massively here. It's incredible that it has went on this long. Norwich, I think have said, I think what was the quote is like 6 million. I know people have talked about 10 million recently, and as you say, goalposts seem to be changing. But you just like to think that there just should be a clear line of dialogue somewhere. But it just feels like something, just how it's dragged on as long as it has. Again, I still scratch my head, and maybe I'm just being naive because I'm a Celtic fan, but I cannot believe for 1 minute that Adam Idah could have stood there after that cup final, cup in his hand, talking to all the media, listening to the fans singing behind him, absolute hero, and think, can't wait to get down to Norwich next season, try my luck there. Third choice striker or whatever. It's like, surely God, he'd made up his mind at that point that I want to be here. So I was always under the impression as this was beginning to bubble as we're going into the summer there, he'll push it through. He'll just basically force a move. He'll basically tell Norwich, nah, I want to make this happen. And that hasn't even come yet. So it's quite surprising. But if these Italian teams do come in, you're right, the appeal of playing there, that is a hell of a step up. As much as we do love our team and love Scottish football and whatnot, you can play against teams like Juventus and Inter Milan, you can play against Motherwell and St Mirren and whatnot. So the money as well. Yeah. So it's worrying. But there's still part of me that thinks that there's a few twists to come in this one. It really should have been over and done with so quickly, but it seems like to me, we've not seen the end of this one, and I know, but I don't know how much we can read into this, but obviously I'll bring it up anyway. But I did see over the weekend that people who were trying to buy the new shirt on the Superstore If you went on the Celtic website, the Superstore website, and you wanted to order a name on the back of the shirt, Adam Idah and Paulo Bernardo were still listed, but guys like O were not. Guys who've definitely left the club were not there. The guys who are definitely not at the club right now, Idah and Bernardo, were both listed. And it's like, that surely can't just be some sort of typo. What's going on there?
Nah, I don't think it's a typo either, Phil, because Celtic won't. I mean, like, think of like the amount of refunds that they'd have to punt out. If somebody had went and just took the risk and went, right, Adam Idah 9 on the new home shirt, and Celtic were like, oh no, it's not coming. I'm like, well, you've had it on your website, like, and I've paid for it. You know, I don't. It can't be an admin error. And Scotland, the Braves doing our job for us. We should just get you on.
I did see this on Twitter before.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah,
I've got it here as well. So as I said, it was 2 stories. Scotland, the Brave should just send us your email and we'll just get you on because you're doing my job for me, mate. Norwich have said an hour ago that they will address Adam Idah future after their game tonight, and that apparently finished 15 minutes ago. We will know by tonight whether he's ours or we move on to Miovski. I mean, great if we're going to know whether we're getting him or not, because I'd like to move on with my life.
True.
No, I mean, life's short enough. I don't need to spend it worrying about if Adam Idah's coming, but right now we all are. So it would be ideal if Norwich just told us if we can sign him or not. It's kind of rather irritating, Norwich. So yeah, that's exciting. It's positive.
I hope it's
we
positive.
Can finally move on with our life.
Yeah, either way, we want to move on.
We need to move on because, like I said last week, I asked the question: how long do we pursue this? I mean, the football kicks off this Sunday. This Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. Yep.
And we've got a first choice striker. We are one injury away to Kyogo or Greg Taylor to disaster at the minute, with only one left back and one striker at the club. So it would be nice, Norwich, if you could just let us know so we can all just start thinking about
Norwich.
Other things.
The thing is, David, it's not just the injury you need to worry about, because obviously in pre-season we've just played there. As the title says, successful pre-season. What was on the park, I would say, was definitely successful. The results that we had, but you've got to get the context right of who we were playing, right, and how they play the game. So Man City and Chelsea, people can talk about who the personnel were in those teams and whatnot, but they're still a high quality player. Probably their reserve teams would probably scoosh the Scottish Premiership. Let's be honest, And they play a very open style. Pep Guardiola was never going to rock up in that game and tell his team to play 10 men behind the ball. But obviously now we are going into this game on Sunday and we're going to be playing Kilmarnock and they are going to sit with 10 men behind the ball. So now when you're talking about one injury away from a problem with like Kyogo, what happens on Sunday if we're having one of those days in front of goal where we can't get through them and Brendan Rodgers looks to his bench and is like, I need to throw somebody on here to try and get us a goal. What does he do? Mikey Johnston? Is that the answer right now?
Right now it is.
That seems to be it. Man in form, it seems, from the pre-season games there. But yeah, we're in a position. I keep on hammering this home, but with 9 substitutes on the bench, bloody 9 were allowed. And at the moment, we haven't even got an out-and-out striker as an option. As if Kyogo's having a bad day in front of goal, not getting the service, can't get through the stodgy Kilmarnock defence. It's like, what do? You look to the bench to try and bring something on to change it up front to get us a goal. That could be a very realistic scenario on Sunday, as sad as it is, because that's how Kilmarnock are going to play. And we could end up Brendan Rodgers to just be like, what did I do here? But yeah, it could have been Mikey Johnston is the only thing he can throw on at that stage. And how that's going to go, who knows?
Well, let's have a wee chat about, because I think there's a few people in the live chat tonight that were obviously quite excited to talk about the pre-season games against Manchester City and Chelsea. Sure. Now, obviously, when we were last on, I'd stayed up to stupid o'clock to watch the DC United game. And I said there were some positives and there were some negatives in that game. I managed to stay up to watch the Manchester City game. And again, a lot of positives, Phil, and still there was plenty of worrying signs. However, one big positive was, again, Kasper Schmeichel. All I can say on him right now, and yes, pre-season or not, he was up against Erling Haaland, who hadn't played any European in the Euros, fresh as a daisy, ready to probably, eager to put some goals past us, which should have been for him, probably in his mind, a game where he could get a real good warm-up for the for the season ahead, and Kasper Schmeichel stood up to everything that he threw at him. Again, pre-season or not, gigantic performance from Kasper Schmeichel. Me and Boyce were actually texting back and forth. I don't know why he was up watching it too. Just a couple of maniacs watching the.
He's a night owl, mate. He doesn't.
He's
do
a night owl as well.
He's a night owl. Yes.
And he said it perfectly. He said he looks he may be 6 months older than Joe Hart, but he looks far fitter, sharper, leaner than Joe Hart really ever did. And again, it's pre-season, we'll keep that in mind, but he looked very good. He looked very good. His distribution of the ball was great. His, that classic Schmeichel spread.
Yep.
Everything was on show from Schmeichel, and it was class to watch. It was really, really good. I mean, Haaland, I felt obviously. I mean, Scales had a few. Here's some Scales moments that allowed Haaland to won a couple of times, but Schmeichel managed to bail him out. So there was a couple of the worrying signs that I think we all know need to be addressed. But first of all, Schmeichel was brilliant. Our tempo, Phil, we looked really, really good on the attack. I mean, Kuhn was a massive standout with his 2 goals and his Ravella pass. He just looked like he looked very much every bit of the player that we'd all watched on YouTube on his highlight reel in that game. The Chelsea game, Phil, again, just passed them off the pitch. We just looked sharp. We looked dangerous every time we went forward.
There was one goal in particular, David, in that game. I think it was I want to say it's Lewis Palmer's goal, where the press that we put on Chelsea's defence, they absolutely shat the bed in the back line, passing it around. Again, I know it was a lot of Chelsea's and they've bought some bizarre signings in the last few years, but again, still decent enough level of player for us to go up against. But they panicked the way we just crowded them, and it's like that's what you want to see, putting these teams under pressure like that. So that was very encouraging, that one.
And there's a lot of people saying like, we're up against Chelsea's kids, and I'm like, I'm not being funny, but like, I'd say more than half of that team are going to be starting their first game in the Premier League this season. Your Sterling and the only players that I didn't recognise, that I knew weren't in that starting lineup that are recognisable was Enzo. He probably won't play for Chelsea again. And
probably not. No.
There was, the Sanchez is their number 1 goalkeeper. Sterling will probably it's Raheem Sterling at the end of the day. What's the French centre back's name? The young boy that was at
Leicester. Is it no? It's Fofana.
Michele. There was. All you have to do, guys, is just look at the Chelsea side of social media. They fully expected to wipe the floor with us, despite all the excuses under the sun since then about, Celtic are a few more games into the pre-season, which, yes, I'll take all that on board. But that Chelsea side, those Chelsea fans felt like that was a more than strong enough side to absolutely destroy us. And pre-season or not, that was a very good standard of team to play against in pre-season. That Chelsea side would smash most, if not all, the rest of the Premiership on their day. So I thought it was a good test. Phil, did you manage? I know you just watched the highlights of the game, but was there any other moments in pre-season, even maybe completely away from the football pitch, that maybe that caught your eye, that just made you go, "No, that was a very good pre-season," and I'm now looking forward to the start of the season?
Definitely a good pre-season. It's a welcome change to actually have one, because usually our pre-seasons are absolutely awful. It usually takes some absolute mad doing. Remember last year we lost like 6-4 to Yokohama in the Japanese tour. Mental game. So it's actually good to see them get some decent results on this one, because I think, like many, I thought we were going to get turned over playing Man City and Chelsea and whatnot. But so you give a good count yourself. A few good people, a few things single out, because we talked about him last week. We talked about Lewis Palmer. He got obviously goals in both games, but again, that's good for him, good for his confidence, because I said last week he's a confidence player. So I'd like to think that this could maybe be something that will help him kick on, because he did arrive quite late in the window last year, so didn't get the benefit of a full pre-season. So you'd like to think that guys like him can essentially, and I know we hate this saying, I know we hate it around here, but could feel like a new signing in the sense that you'll be now get to see the real Palmer, because there was just flashes last season, and then he just went off the boil. And then you've still got guys like they're still hanging around, like Nawrocki, Lagerbielke. What's going to happen with them? Who knows? But you're right with Kasper Schmeichel, what you're saying, that the performances he put in, I've got no worries at all about him as a replacement for Joe Hart, regardless of the age and all that. Experienced head, still super fit, athletic. The saves he was pulling off are fantastic. And as you said, the Schmeichel spread, that trademark that his dad used to always do, he does it as well. Runs in the family. I've got no worries about him in goal at all. And I hope that what the plan seems to be going forward, we can nurture Sinisalo and he can become the goalkeeper in a couple of years' time. But so that side is fine. But yeah, the overall performances were fantastic. It's a nice change to see it all going well in pre-season on the park, because I'm used to us getting turned over in pre-season. But that doesn't mean anything, as we know, because Rangers tend to always win the pre-season cup, as we know, and usually things go wrong for them. So we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but it was obviously a great exercise for us. And yeah, we definitely give a good count ourselves. And we are talking about those down south. I did see the clip of the two Chelsea fans doing a watch along, and one of them in particular, he was hurting bad. He was hurting really bad. Very, very smug before it, saying bunch of nobodies and all that. And they were furious with every goal that went in. They get more and more angry when the realisation came in that Chelsea are all over the place right now. They really are. They have been for a few years. But yeah, the reality was setting in when Celtic, of all teams, put 4 goals past them. So glad they enjoyed that one.
Yeah, get it right up, yeah. I also thought a couple of the young boys made showed a real good sign of progress. I thought Odin Holm, again, I thought he looked far sharper than he did last season. Hopefully he's maybe got a point to prove to Brendan, because this is his last chance, I think.
Well, that was something that did happen. Let's just briefly talk about moments during the pre-season tour. The Boston Lawwell sub on and sub off in the same game, not long after Brendan had made the comments about Boston Lawwell and Odin Thiago Holm, saying about, they've got, he said, they've got ability, but it needs to be more than just that, or they've got talent, but it needs to be more. And for him to sub on, I think it was against DC, wasn't it? Against DC United, he did it. He subbed on Boston Lawwell within 20 minutes, subbed him back off again. And I know there was maybe some narratives out there that was pre-planned, but I'm sorry, I ain't buying that. I'm not buying that a manager subs on a player for 20 minutes and subs him back off again. You would start him maybe and give him a wee run out, but you wouldn't bring him on just to bring him off again.
For 20 minutes?
No, definitely not. So for me,
imagine that conversation, Phil. Imagine that conversation. Listen, game plan, right? You're going to come on for 20 minutes, right? We're going to sub you on at half time, then within 20 minutes we'll take you off. Don't worry what the press will think about that, or the fans, hey, come on. Yeah. He's not good enough. He's just not. He's not good enough right now, right this second. He might be, but he's not good enough right this second, and that's fine. He needs to go out and develop at a higher standard this season. Yep. Whether it's again down south or give him to a Premiership side. A Scottish Premiership side. I have no issue with Celtic keeping a hold of the boy and nurturing him, but this has to be the last season of that as well. I don't want it to become a Mickey Johnson situation, but it's like 7 years. 7 years this boy's been at the club, and it's like maybe this year it's going to work out for him. It's anyway. So there's still a fair few rumours flying about. There was rumours going about, I saw in the chat and on Twitter, that we may have got some signings done and they may be getting announced soon. All right. I'm going to guess, and it's purely guessing, as we've got the striker situation sorted. Going back to what we said earlier about maybe Norwich have already decided what's going to happen with Adam Idah. So if that's the case, maybe he is going to sign. I think we'll have the left back situation sorted. I do think it will be the Wolves left back.
Bueno. Okay.
Let's talk about that, Phil. Let's talk about the Wolves left back. I know Connor probably touched on it on the carpool. I'm quite positive about that one. I know there was a bit of a mixed bag of reviews whether it's the right move for the club. Signing a 21-year-old Spanish left back that played 21 times for Wolves last season, mainly off the bench. I think it was 7 starts that I'd read. But I think it's a good move. If it is a loan, I do hope there is an option to buy. But it was said in the reports that Wolves are actually reluctant to let the boy go at all. So I'll just pause for a second because Regan has managed to jump on. Regan, hello. Get your mic muted or unmuted saying.
All right, guys, how are you?
Good, mate. We're just talking about the potential signing of Kinder Bueno. That's his name. We had a wee chat about it, Regan, me and yourself on WhatsApp about the potential signing of this boy. I was pretty positive about it. I think you were as well. I think it's a shoot signing. I mean, 21-year-old, he looks athletic, he looks quick. Wolves played him plenty of times as a backup left back, and I mean, we're not going to be going for Wolves starting left back. So, I mean, I would be pretty positive that he will give Greg Taylor some competition if he does sign. But there was a lot of negativity around it as well, that it's just a loan deal when it's not the standard of player that Celtic signing. I don't know what the standard of Celtic left back signings are now after the debacle that we've had over the years. I mean, is he going to be worse than Laxalt or Bernabe?
Oh, don't mention anyone games for. Did I mention somebody else like Izagiri or something?
But Izagiri was good. That's the thing. David's might pick bad ones. Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on it, Regan? If this, because there's apparently we've got some boys ready to be announced, and I'm guessing it might be him. We've not heard much else about him for a couple of days. So
the only thing I did hear from a source the other day was that he wasn't as up for joining Celtic as neither were his parent club. Two of them weren't up for negotiating with Celtic. He wasn't enamoured with the interest of Celtic.
Doesn't want to win trophies then. Cool. Doesn't want to play Champions League football.
I don't think it would be a good sign, David. I don't understand the negativity, because for me, if you're getting a guy that's the standard of 21 who's Spanish, I mean, it's just a great sign. I mean, people can talk about it as a loan move, but Celtic are never going to sign this guy in a permanent deal because he's played 22 times last season for Wolves, and people are saying like, "Oh, he's not very good," and all that. I mean, this is people that have never seen the guy. I mean, the guy's played 22 times for Wolves last season. He actually did very well under the manager last season. So I'm sure if he was that bad a player, they would have played him 22 times. And I think as well, we need to be realistic as well. You don't want to do an outlay of what we actually did with Bernabe, like 3.5 million, David, and then you get to 2 years down the line and you go, well, we didn't actually see any just rewards for that 3.5 million. So I think this would actually make perfect sense for everybody at Celtic, because if you look at it from that point of view, it's a kind of try before you buy situation. And as Phil mentioned in our WhatsApp chat, mentioned that Wolves are in a lot of financial trouble as well. So it's not as if they're going to be saying, well, we want £6 million or £10 million for this player. They're probably thinking he's one of the players that they can use as a makeshift for the financial fair play thing. So I think as well, you need to look at it as well that Vickers wasn't there. He wasn't there signing everybody wanted when he first came in. He was a loan deal. Jota was a loan deal. So I think everybody just needs a bit of positivity. You know, I'm all for the positivity here. And I did say that Adam Idah would be 15th of August, David, and we're getting pretty close.
No.
Well, I mean, you are getting pretty close. We're not quite there yet, though, Regan. Come on, mate.
David,
Are you cashing out, Regan? Is that you trying to cash out?
Adam Idah signs on the 16th of August. Do I get a pass for that, or what? How does it work?
As long as he signs Regan, I think we'll all just be happy. As long as whatever day.
Tell you what, tell you what, I'll say it on camera, right? If he signs on the 15th of August, which I hope you're wrong, I hope he signs well before that. If he signs and is announced on the 15th of August, I will buy you the home shirt with Adam Idah on the back, right?
There we go, aye.
And I'll send it to you.
There we go.
Right. What Regan was saying is absolutely right. Phil, in terms of, Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers were all loans, but we can't ignore the fact that they had options to buy. And I think this is where the negativity does come in, because there's no mention of if it will be an option to buy, if he even is the player that that we do bring in, if we bring in at all a left back. However, I think it's the kind of calibre of player that is realistic for Celtic to go for.
Yeah.
Regan saying that there's possibility that he isn't actually interested in playing for Celtic, probably because he probably thinks, well, I played 21 times for Wales last season. I got I got a lot of game time. You've nurtured me since I was 16. I've come through your youth system. I've broken to the first team. There's no real reason why I can't push for the number 1 jersey at Wolves, unless, of course, Wolves are looking to bring in someone else. We always go on about how we have to be realistic, that there's a ceiling to how much Celtic can realistically ask for one of our best players, right? So therefore, on the other hand, there has to be a realistic expectation of the level of left back that we can go out and pay for. And I think a guy like him, his valuation is around the 7-8 million mark from what I'd heard. If Celtic just aren't going to go out and splash 8 million on a left back. Maybe they will on a striker. We all like a striker, but I just don't think Celtic are looking to spend that kind of money on a whim on a left back, on a position that's burnt us too many times in the last few seasons. So I think a loan deal is for a boy at this level, a Premier League player, is a decent enough move. However, I would really be pushing hard to try and get an option to buy. Of course, if he doesn't want to come, though, Phil, we need to move on. Don't want players that don't want to come to Celtic.
No, that's true. But no, you're right with the calibre of player. And I don't think it's outside Will's possibility to look at Premier League teams like Wolves. They're not the worst team. Gary Neal's done a great job with Wolverhampton Wanderers, so they're quite a decent side. Yeah, so looking at teams at that level, that sort of upper mid-table end of the Premier League, and looking at their guys who are second choice in that, it's not bad at all, because again, coming up here to play in the Scottish Premiership week in, week out, I think they would smash it up here. On one hand, you've got some people have told us that Boston Lawwell was going to be the answer this season after what he did in the third tier of English football, but here's boys who are like second choice in Premier League teams and mid-table Premier League teams. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Interestingly enough, when you're talking about players at that level, it is funny how some people can just be so downbeat about that, because I saw that Rangers were linked with a player who was 21 years old, a second choice, third choice guy at a Premier League team. And he played less games than Bueno. Yeah, his name is Hannibal or something like that. People say that'd be a quality signing for them.
Like Man U.
Well, yeah, but for us, it's like, that'd be a terrible signing for Celtic. And it's like, really? Two players that are 21 play for Premier League teams are not even first team choices at the Premier League side, but their one is deemed like, that'd be a quality signing. But for us, it's like, no, they should be looking at players like that.
I think because of the nature of Celtic's transfer business, people are just pushing the panic button too early. But I think for me at this moment, I'm not nervous at the moment. But I think if we get to maybe the 15th of August, we've still not got Paulo Bernardo officially announced. I mean, I think I've done 4 or 5 Tuesday ticket with you boys, in the actual the heading of the show has been Paulo Bernardo to join, and he's never joined. So
Yeah.
I think it'll just be great to actually see Paulo Bernardo in that Celtic top.
Do you know what we need to do? This is an old school reference for long time viewers of the bus, but obviously we've got the Martin Neil Claxon is still hidden away somewhere. We need to get a Paulo Bernardo Claxon on this show because he features every single Tuesday. I said on Twitter today, I'm convinced he's walking from Lisbon to Glasgow. He's taking that long to get here. Like, seriously, how many times have we had a bid accepted, terms agreed, a deal is done? It must be about 18 times I've read that headline this summer, and he still isn't here. What is going on, man? Honestly, God, I am sick to the... By the time Paulo Bernardo gets here, I'm really sick of the sight of him. People are like, well, I can't be bothered with you, man. Honestly, because I believe that he can be a great player for us, but honestly, God, how can this take so long? And the amount of times that journalists have said, "Oh, a deal's agreed and he's on his way" and whatnot, taking his sweet old time about it. Anyway, I'll tell you, he's making his weight. Better be worth it.
If anybody knows, please tell us.
Yeah, maybe this will be one of the players that David was teeing us up with. You're talking about you've got a few. You think there's a few players. Surely Paulo Bernardo must be that one of them, David. It's got to be.
It's going to be. But I just want to bring up this, and I just made sure that I'm not. It wasn't just a wee joke, but NM's put Norwich confirmed Idah has been disciplined after failing to meet up with the squad for their flight to Austria. Connor Southwell, which I think is a Norwich-based journalist, has also tweeted it. So yeah, I mean, read into that what you will. But yeah, back to the back to the Bernardo chat. Yeah, surely to fuck is one of them. Surely,
Definitely.
Surely. Honestly,
I mean, I don't know what else to say, but surely, my old dad said it right. Glaciers move faster than Bernardo deal.
Yep.
Just sign, for fuck's sake.
I know.
So again, we can all move on with our lives.
Yeah, please. That would be really, really handy. Cheers, Paulo.
Aye. Cheers, Paulo. That's all we'll say about you. Phil, I think Celtic watch the Friday feeling.
Oh, okay. I hope they do.
My theory on that is
I
obviously...
hope Greg Taylor doesn't watch it, but I hope the rest of the team do.
Greg Taylor cries himself to sleep worrying about what's going to be said on the Friday feeling. Yes, my theory on that is because our Canadian punk duck warlord,
oh yes,
the wise man, is obviously was telling us all about how good the Canadian national team is.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, of course, Celtic do what Celtic do, and they listen to the Boise Bus and they go, let's go and sign a Celtic, let's go and sign a Canadian striker. So, according to reports, Brendan Rodgers wants to sign Canadian international Jason Russell-Rowe as the Celtic boss looks to add to his front line this season. Russell-Rowe is a Canadian international teammate of Alistair Johnson and has 6 caps for his country, but is yet to score for Jesse Marsh's side. 21-year-old currently plays in the MLS for Columbus Crew and was taken to the Copa America where he made just one appearance in the 2-0 defeat to Argentina. The versatile attacker Russell-Rowe plays mainly as a centre-forward but has been known to have been deployed as a secondary striker, a winger and even an attacking midfielder. In 75 appearances, the MLS frontman has scored an impressive 35 goals and created 12 assists since making his professional debut for Toronto FC in 2019. Out of contract at the end of December, Russell wouldn't command a huge fee, but Columbus does have an option to extend it for another 2 years if they wish. Now, I'd also read that Celtic had bids knocked back for Jason Russell-Rowe. Wouldn't be surprised at that. Regan, understandably, if we've offered a low ball offer, Columbus can say, "Oh, look, we can just extend his contract for 2 years, so you might as well pay up." So, I mean, I'm not going to pretend I know anything about the boy. I only found out about him an hour and a half ago. Don't know if you'd read much about this link, Regan, but what's your thoughts?
No, I've not, David. do we understand you come in as the project player Brendan Rodgers is talking about, or is he if Adam Idah doesn't happen, David, is he the third choice striker that Brendan Rodgers is speaking about? Do you think?
Yeah, I would have thought so. At 21 years old, playing in the MLS. If Adam Idah is to be believed to will sign, then yeah, I would imagine he would be the third choice striker. David Kelly, I don't think you've watched MLS since probably 2009 by by reading this post.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and a hell of a lot more. Maybe has-beens, but still far better players than Lewis Morgan playing that league.
Regular viewer Danny O'Malley will be having a fit that he's forgot Lionel Messi. That's his guy, isn't it? That's his hero. So yeah, he'll be like, what? Yeah, Messi,
I do. I said it.
I get the point. Yeah,
we get the point. We know it's not the standard.
The MLS has got some really good players playing in it, David.
There are.
Yeah.
But David Kelly's making the point that Lewis Morgan looks a fucking unbelievable player in that league. So, yes, I get bit of tongue in cheek for David Kelly there about the standard of the league. But there are some good players in that league.
I think
Lewis Morgan does look like Lionel Messi in that league also.
I think he would be a great buy, David, because like, I think if it's understood that he's going to be the first choice striker, then I think it makes perfect sense because he'll probably take a bit of adapting to Scottish football from the MLS, probably a bit more physical in terms of the MLS. But I'm sure that he'll bed in well with Alistair Johnson being there as well. So I think it makes perfect sense, and I think Celtic. I'm sure they've done their scouting on this guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what actually is said on Friday on the show, because I just feel like that probably does make perfect sense to me. Yeah, that he is the third choice striker. I mean, if he's 21 years age, he's still got a lot of development, but I'm sure that's the kind of player that Brendan Rodgers is looking at. And also you need to bear in mind that Celtic have now went down that well where they've already been successful with a player from Canada. So they're obviously thinking, well, if we've been successful there before, we'll go back down there. I mean, you just need to look at Abada, Beram Kayal, El Ahmed they were all from the same nation. So I think it makes perfect sense, and I hope Celtic do the business, because that means that Celtic are winning more trophies, and hopefully he can be a main factor next season.
Absolutely, mate. I think Bill, again, I didn't. You can actually, I think you can watch the MLS because on Apple TV now if you've subscribed to that. Because I know obviously when Messi signed for,
it's big business now.
Yeah, they obviously wanted to have the exclusive rights to that, and of course you can watch it in other ways.
Yes. And David Beckham as well. He's the owner, is he not?
Owner of Inter Miami, yeah.
Owns Inter Miami, yeah. What I will say about the MLS is they want high scoring results in MLS, so I don't think they focus much on defending. So again, like David Kelly had mentioned, like don't be particularly fooled by the level of quality of player that might be scoring lots and lots of goals in that league. But again, it's still a decent enough standard. I mean, Alistair Johnson obviously came from that league, and obviously you don't want to just completely write off players because of the league that they play in. We just have to look back to League One, and obviously where some of the players that we have signed that have made big money moves for us and been successful for us have played in lesser leagues. But I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the MLS side. DC United though, Phil, that they were far away into their season, and we wiped the floor with them. So
yeah,
I think it's quite a mismatch standard of quality that's probably in the league. What's your thoughts on this boy? Had you heard of him until 5 minutes ago?
I hadn't really heard of him. I'd seen links going round about us we bidded on an MLS striker, or our name, maybe our name wasn't mentioned, but there had been a Scottish club had bidded on this guy, but I didn't know anything about him at all. But I don't think it's a terrible standard. See, Alistair Johnson came from there. He was playing in that league, and he's done more than fine for us. Literally made his debut for us at Ibrox and came through that with flying colours that day. So, yeah, it's there are some decent players there, but the biggest concern with the Celtic, scouting and the hierarchy is they've got to do their due diligence, and they've shown over the last few years that they might have thrown a bit of money around on players, 2 million, 3 million punts, but it feels like they've just not done any real research on them. So there are players to be found in every league. There are gems out there. I can't say it enough. I always go back to him as my go-to example, but absolutely nobody knew who Victor Wanyama was before he signed for us. Played for a mid-table team in Belgium, less than £1 million. Obviously, I appreciate with inflation and stuff like that, you probably have to pay a bit more for a player. But again, the point is, it's players you've never heard of, play for unfashionable clubs and unfashionable leagues. They are there to be found. But at the moment, would you trust the Celtic scouting, whatever it is, whatever the plan is, to find these players? That's the worry. But I do think there is players in the MLS, definitely, though.
See, what I find interesting as well, David, that probably nobody spoke about this summer, that we've not actually appointed somebody that's the head scout now, that we got rid of
that we know of.
Lowell.
That we know of.
The club ain't telling us nothing.
Yeah, the club ain't telling us nothing. I take your point on board, Regan. Is it the club's responsibility to put that out as public knowledge? Should we know who are, is it that big a deal that they haven't told us if they have? Because
I think they'll probably announce it after the transfer window. But yeah, I think it is. I think it should be public knowledge who the scout is.
Yeah. I don't agree or disagree. I'm not asked if they tell me or not. I just want who the fuck ever it's meant to be.
I think it's more what Regan says, because they have made it public in recent years who the head of recruitment is. For them then to suddenly change tact under the same regime seems a bit off, because they were quite happy to tell us, it's Mark Lawwell that's the head of recruitment, and before that was that guy Hammond, remember him? And then there was one who was here, the guy who came with Brendan Rodgers the first time around, Congerton. So they've been happy to tell us the names over the last few years, but now suddenly under the same regime, they're not telling us anything. So if somebody has been appointed, it seems a bit odd that they're protecting him. Maybe if things go wrong, they're protecting his identity so that he doesn't cop the flack that these guys have copped in the last few years.
Should they cop the flack though? Because when you now read that Corgerton's away, and you find out the players, who he wanted Celtic to sign and Celtic refused to sign, that doesn't fall on him. For me, I know we're all like, it wasn't a great success under him because he, the signings that he did scout us and bring us in weren't a success. But when he's like, well, we tried to sign Lookman, you didn't want him. Tried to sign who else? There was another big name signing that he had.
The Belgian one that went to Leicester, the right back.
No, he tried to sign the guy that went to Chelsea.
Castagna was the name. I can't remember. Castagna, yeah.
So, it shouldn't. Yes, okay. The scout has to do their due diligence on the players that they're trying to sign, and it's not been successful for a lot of the guys, you could say. But it's certainly been a lot more misses and hits, you'd argue. But when you look back and you find out that it's because these are the level of guys. If you want to progress in Europe like the fans want you to, I'm suggesting these guys like Lookman and Castagna and yada yada, and they're like, well, we're not wanting to pay that. Then it doesn't. Still, it falls back on this board. Reality is, guys, right? We have signed. We've spent £1 million this transfer window.
Aye,
that's the reality that we're sitting at right this second. 1 million on a literally a project. Literally a project. Project there.
Right.
I also have to wrap up soon, but quickly, David Kelly makes an interesting point here, and I was thinking it myself quietly when I was reading about the Adam Idah situation. He says he's not keen on players who throw a huff to get a move, even if it benefits us. What's to stop him doing that to us next summer if we sign him? It's a totally valid point.
I
still feel like I want I want my targets who do want to come to Celtic, who are desperate to come to Celtic, to still act in a professional manner, while trying to get the move that they want. I don't know if you can still hear me. I think my
still
hear
hear
you.
So you did.
You can hear me okay? And my
Yeah,
screen's frozen. What's your thoughts on that? Because at the end of the day, you're still under contract at Norwich. You still, like, if you push for the move, absolutely. If you want to force the move, do it the right way though. Don't not turn up to training, because that can really hamper your chances of getting the move. I feel Norwich could just dig the heels in and say, well, actually, mate, we've got you down for another 3 years here, so strap in. You know. What's your thoughts on that type of behaviour? Because I feel like, and Boise touched on it as well on the TNF a couple of weeks ago, that he wasn't too keen on Adam Idah's social media activity, with the wee emojis here and there and commenting on things and taking photographs of him on planes. He knows what he's doing there. Just that kind of thing. I would like to get that squashed fairly quickly. We don't need. I'm not sure how I feel about that either. I mean, it's not going to stop me wanting the player to sign, but David Kelly makes a good point. Well, if he's doing it for Norwich, the club that's literally nourished him through his entire career, to then throw the toys at the pram that easily for a club that's done so much for you as a youth player right up till now, leaves a sour taste. Don't burn your bridges. That's what I'll say. And I don't condone that. But that's, what can you do?
Yeah, well, when the point came up earlier on about the breaking news that they're going to discipline him, my first thought was, well, what does that really entail? Do they just keep him in the reserves now? Is advantage Norwich City in that case? They just say, no, you're just playing the reserves now. Is that what they're going to do? So that worried me more than that. And I know people have said that maybe he is trying to force a move. Perfectly valid point from David to say that, because the cycle that we're in, the way that Celtic work, the way we operate is Adam Idah will come here, you get 2 or 3 years out of him, he'll probably do pretty well, and guess what will happen? A club will come knocking in a couple of years' time, wanting to buy him. What does he do then? Say the fact that he's grew up a Celtic fan, but it could be after 2 years, he's achieved everything that he needs to do up here. Could have won another treble, or could have won a treble, could have won a few more trophies, and then it's like, well, yeah, no, I do want to force a move out. So yeah, that is the cycle that he will be coming into if we do get this over the line. But David Kelly's perfectly right in what he's saying. There is a concern. And Brendan Rodgers, well, if that is the reason, if he is trying to force a move and this is what's happened, then Brendan will be, as we say on the bus, acutely aware of that one, and I'll be taking. Now he's always going to be notebook on the sideline. We note there. I think he'll be keeping a tabs on that one.
To play devil's advocate, right? They might be playing hardball, and Celtic might be saying, "Well, you need to try and force your way here."
Yeah, I mean,
also you need to look at it from his point of view. From his point of view, he's probably thinking to himself, "Celtic was the best time of my sporting time so far," and they're probably saying, "Well, we want a record fee for him." But then if he does that, then people in football talk. And I know you guys are talking about reputations and stuff like that and trying to be nice and stuff like that. But don't forget that Moussa Dembele, who all Celtic fans love and adore, he did the same thing back in 2018 when he wanted to move to Lyon. He did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a mixed opinions, which is great. Like, said Stephen Kennedy said, can't keep an unhappy player at the club if he wants Celtic, not Norwich. And Ian McIntosh said, unhappy players are bad news for clubs. Either can force the issue if he has to. I have no problem with this. Again, I don't have a problem with really wanting to force the move. I just think, I just said, David Kelly makes a good point. It's just be careful in how you go about that, I think. And Regan, you're right. Mr. Dembele did do that, and that left us bad taste in a lot on our mouths. And I think, just from a Norwich fans' point of view, which I know we don't particularly care about, but it's because
I remember he wrote a tweet on social media about the true story will come out. So Celtic fans weren't happy with him and they were moaning, but time moves on, and I'm sure Norwich fans they'll be disappointed because he had a very good season, but I'm sure they'll be well aware that Celtic is a club that he likes to be involved with, and I'm sure they're all enough to know that that he wants to go there. So I'm not too bothered that he's trying to force a move.
No, totally fair. Right, we've just hit the hour mark there, so we'll call it a day at 8:00.
Indeed.
So, and Regan, apologies again for having you coming on a bit later. But hey,
Yeah, bother. No, it's fine.
you're on. You're on, mate. That's all that matters. Phil, pleasure as always, mate. And as usual, I keep seeing we're always seeing the same names in the live chat. It's always great to see that you are coming back every Tuesday.
David, have you made a prediction that Paulo Bernardo will be signed by next Tuesday? Or we think maybe.
Hope
I mean,
so,
you're not getting two tops.
God.
I don't know.
I swear to God, if we have to come on next Tuesday and talk about him still no signing, Christ, man, what a piss take. But yeah, hopefully he's here by the weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I mean, really, we could have just put the same show on repeat. We could just record the show and just put it on every Tuesday because, like you were saying, same thing. Yes. But you all keep coming back because we all just love the goss, and the drama. Great. Anyway, hope you have a good Tuesday, and we will see you next week to hopefully talk about Bernardo and Adam Idah and everyone else that we signed, because there's no need to panic. 15th of August.
Yes, indeed.
15th of August, Regan gets his football top if Adam Idah signs on the 15th of August.
Don't worry, be happy, as they always say. See you later, guys.